parents are just concerned that, will my kid be able to make money through this career? Today, in today's age and time, it has become apparent and quite transparent that you can make money through games. If I were to give out a few names of a couple of companies, there have been companies that have been listed on the Indian Stock Exchange that are game developers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Not by the Book 2.0, a platform that inspires us to think differently about careers, explore different opportunities, and to dream bigger. Chapter 1 took us into the world of filmmaking and advertising. But today, we're switching gears. We're speaking with somebody who's a TEDx speaker, a founder, and the founder and CEO of GameEon Studios, along with being the mind behind 100 plus titles, including the sectors, Total Boxing, and the eagerly awaited Mumbai Gullies. He's built teams, raised investment, and shows countless young creators that imagination isn't just a hobby, it's a career waiting to be big. So gear up as we take a peek into how ideas spawn into stories, worlds, levels, and experiences that players from all across the world dive into. So without further ado, let me introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Nikhil Malankar.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, and major thanks to Billabong High International School for doing this. And very excited to be over here. Thank you.
So without keeping you all waiting, let's jump right in. We Billabongers, along with so many others, have tons of questions for you, and we can't wait to hear about you. So, sir, what was the moment you realized you didn't just want to play games? You wanted to build them, and how did you discover your passion for gaming?
Yeah, so I've been a gamer pretty much all my life. Started playing games since I was a 3-year-old kid, observing my dad play games on computer. So played the likes of Midtown Madness, Road Rash, etc. And one fine day, I discovered this game called GTA Vice City, and I found that game so fascinating because it allowed you to have yet another level of freedom. You could go as a character, move freely around the city, and that really fascinated me on the possibilities of what can be done with a game. And I thought to myself that is it possible for me to actually modify this game in some way? And I found out that it was using online tools and mods, you can modify a game. So what I did was I have a deep love for my own city, Mumbai. And what I did was I started taking these online tools, learned how they work, and modified this game to look like the city of Mumbai. And then what happened is I was showing the game to a friend of mine. He asked me a simple question. This was in 2009, I clearly remember. He asked me, if you can modify a game and make it look like the city of Mumbai, then why not make a game on the city of Mumbai yourself? So that was my intent in starting to become a game developer.
That's really nice to hear, sir, and that's a really wonderful insight as well. And was this your first attempt at building something, in the gaming field? And what exactly did it teach you?
So I remember that modifying GTA Vice City was more or less a hobby, but I remember trying to replicate something like that very early on and realized that it was a mammoth of a task. So unfortunately, when we started out, we couldn't really start with a game of this scale. So then what we did was we took to certain platforms that we were able to achieve. So what we did was we started making games for mobile. I remember the first game that we made for mobile platform was a game on kite flying. It still took us about a year's time to actually learn how the industry works, how game development works in general. But yeah, I remember kite flying was my first game that I ever developed. And one thing that I learned from that experience is that even a small game takes a long amount of time, especially if you don't know how to make it. So it's a long journey. It involves a combination of math, science, psychology, and whole lot of other stuff.
That must have been quite an experience for you. And my next question is, what was the first step that you took to get started in the gaming career? And what would you suggest to children planning on exploring this path today?
Yeah, so the first step that I took was to understand what are the various different disciplines in game development. Like within game development is an umbrella term which comprises of game programming, game art, game design, game testing. So I tried all of these little bits and pieces, and I figured out that I was good at programming. So I stuck to that one part. And sorry, what was the follow-up question?
What would you suggest to children wanting to explore this field today?
Yeah. So the way that I started was back in the days when I started my journey in 2013, learning how game development works. There was no, AI back then. So I had to rely a lot on documentation and trial and error. For the kids who are starting today, they have a biggest advantage of AI. AI can be their greatest friend. They can rely on AI to get answers quickly, because during my journey, what we had to do was we had to rely on online resource and this documentation. And if we got stuck, we used to ask questions on online forums or this website called Stack Overflow, which was a big thing back then for programmers. But yeah, today you have access to AI, you have access to documentation, you have access to pretty much the exact same resources that someone sitting in US or Europe has. So I think the landscape today is better than ever, and you just need to invest your time. That cannot be replaced. Even with AI coming into the picture, you do have to invest time, and you do have to do a lot of hard work to excel at not just game development, but pretty much everything that you want to do.
Those are some really practical steps that you've taken, and I'm sure that our students here are already picking up on a few ideas. So, when you had started your journey in game development, it wasn't really seen as a big career in India. And what made you choose this path long before it became mainstream?
So I never thought of it that, it would become mainstream someday or whatever. I just really had a passion to make games. And as I mentioned, I've been a gamer all my life. I thoroughly enjoyed playing games. So thereby the decision to become a game developer was just that deep fascination to understand how this entire process works. Because you come to play a game, you come to enjoy it, but what happens behind the scene? It's almost like movie making, right? You enjoy or don't enjoy watching the movie, but what happens behind the process, behind the scenes? How does one handle the camera? What sort of storyboard goes into picture? It's quite a similar but yet more complicated process in video games, because in video games what fascinates me is that everything starts from zero. You have a blank canvas and you start adding stuff to it. You start adding character, you start adding music, you start adding graphics, visuals, animations, and that is what genuinely fascinates me to this date as well.
That is really inspiring, and it definitely does say a lot about, how passionate you are about gaming. And what initially inspired you to choose a career in gaming, and what exactly did your parents and mentors do to guide you on this journey?
So I mean, the decision to become a game developer was pretty clear that I wanted to make games. Then there was a second aspect of parents, because parents usually don't understand this field from a perspective of a business. And probably when you are starting this journey, even you don't understand that as a business, right? So parents are just concerned that, will my kid be able to make money through this career? Today, in today's age and time, it has become apparent and quite transparent that you can make money through games. If I were to give out a few names of a couple of companies, there have been companies that have been listed on the Indian Stock Exchange that are game developers, right? So that speaks volumes about the fact that there is money to be made. Now, speaking about of my parents, I started making games when I was in my engineering days. So what they thought was, he will do this for a few years, and once engineering is done, he will settle himself in some job or whatever. What they didn't anticipate was that eventually, before that timeline, before me finishing my college, I would figure out how to make money through making games. And that is what they were concerned of. Will my kid who is pursuing this career, which for them is a time pass, or they've just seen me playing games and waste a lot of time. Uh, so is this a viable career option? Once I was able to prove it to them that it is, then they were supporting me through and through. That was a no-brainer, because they were comfortable with the fact that okay, this guy is earning now by making games or whatever he's doing, and it is a legal profession. And so what's the harm in that?
It's really nice to hear how your support system has, helped you on your journey in the gaming industry. And was there a particular intervention like a mentor, a book, a YouTube video, or even a random stranger online that has unknowingly changed the course of your career?
Yeah, so I distinctly remember back in 2013 when we had started our company and we were making games and all. We used to watch a lot of Shark Tank, the US version of Shark Tank. And there was one shark in there, Mr. Mark Cuban. And he had started a new app at the time called as Cyber Dust. And I signed up myself on that app just because of the fact that Mark Cuban had mentioned that he was there personally on the app and he was responding to almost everyone over there. So I did that. I downloaded the app and I texted Mark Cuban and he replied. So that was a very fascinating thing for me. And at that time, I was running this website wherein I used to interview a lot of micro celebrities and small influencers. And I asked him, "Do you want to do this interview with me?" And he said yes. So I was super over the moon. So what I did was, for me to make it valuable for him, I said that I will promote your app Cyberdust, and I will run a questionnaire. The questions that I'm going to ask you, I will ask it to the community. So I took a poll on that community of Cyberdust, and I curated a list of 10 questions, and I emailed it to him. Within about 24 hours, he reverted back with that question, and I posted that interview on my website. And just to tell you guys, like, this was not a fake Mark Cuban. What he did was he shared the link of that article on his official Facebook page, and suddenly the moment that it was posted, my website crashed in 10 minutes time. So what that taught me as an experience is that reaching to the biggest people is possible if you just take that initiative. And that really taught me that anything is possible. Like if me as a, I think I was 20 at the time, 20-year-old kid can reach out to Mark Cuban, then anything can happen.
That's really amazing to hear, how a very small website developer can reach out to somebody so big. And every creator has that first win. What was that for you? What was the moment that made you think, maybe I can actually establish myself in the gaming field?
Yeah, so there were two incidents that I remember, very distinctly. The first incident was when we got featured in Times of India. This was in 2014 or 15. And that made my parents also very proud that, okay, that is another set of validation. The second very concrete set of validation was when we had launched a very random cricket game, and it was the cricket season at the time, and that game got featured on Google Play's front page. So that was a great validation, because I remember when that game was launched, we were getting 1 lakh downloads a day, and that had never happened before. Like, for our very first game, it took us 1 month time to reach to 1 lakh downloads. And here we had this one very random game that we had made within 2 weeks time, and it was getting like 1 lakh downloads a day, which was a big thing for us back then.
Those are two really powerful milestones. Now, were there moments where you felt like giving up, and what did you do to overcome them?
So many times. I mean, it keeps on happening every couple of months. But I think during those times, what I remind myself is, why did I start in the first place itself, right? Why did I want to get a career in games? And once I have that reflection, it kind of makes me grateful as well. The journey that I've been through, the kind of people I've met, the kind of opportunities that I've received, including the ones like, this very stage that we are sharing right now at Billabong High International School. So all of this are a part of the culmination of journeys that I've had over the course of the past few years. And it would be not wise to give up now that I've started on this journey. I just don't want to stop, and I want to just continue down on this path. So giving up is a very natural instinct that we get every now and then. But you just need to kind of keep on reminding yourself that why did you start in the first place itself? And that should sort out everything for you.
We really appreciate your honesty, and your resilience, in this field is really admirable. Now, as a founder, you've had to think about teams, money, and timelines. But as a creator, you've had to be more imaginative and be more free in expressing your ideas. Which version do you think is harder to be?
Oh, definitely being a founder is very hard, because, from the outside perspective, it's like a grass is greener on the other side scenario, wherein people think that everything must be sorted for me as a founder, because people usually just get exposed to the good parts, right? The struggles, the times where I was up till 3 a.m. in the morning where one bug was not getting solved, or the times wherein I realized that, oh my God, we only have 1 month of money worth left in our bank. Those are the stressful times that people don't generally come across, including people not understanding what goes on into the picture when there is a delay. For example, we are working on some game and there's a delay. People will never understand that. And it's not even their job to understand that. I think it's a responsibility of the founder to make sure that you're able to navigate through all the pressures. I think being a founder is like being a duck, wherein it feels like the duck is calm on the surface, but below the surface, the duck is pedaling through its life, and is pedaling very fast and trying very hard to not stop. So that's how a founder's life is.
That's a lovely metaphor. And when you look at the gaming landscape here in India, what frustrates you the most and what gives you the most hope?
Uh, I think one frustrating factor would be that there are a lot of games, amazing games coming out. A lot of amazing developers in India as well. Um, I think the audience in India kind of doesn't appreciate the effort that goes into picture while building these games, and people are quick to judge the outcomes because it takes many months or many years to build something substantial. So I think impatience is one aspect that I think needs to be understood deeply. That hey, it takes a huge amount of time to make something like this. So at least if you can't support it, don't say negative things about it. So yeah,
And what gives you the most hope about the gaming industry? Yeah.
just that we as a country have so many talented folks over here. We have contributed to bigger titles in the Western market. So here, I'm pretty confident that we can make certain rich experiences, and it has been apparent in the past as well. There have been some fantastic games coming out from India, including the likes of Kamala, Raji, and all these fabulous games, including something as simple as Ludo. I don't think we give a lot of credit to the game called Ludo. Everyone plays it, everyone enjoys it, but nobody, wants to talk about it. So that makes me very hopeful that we have a lot of talent that can explore themes in India, make them appealing not just to the Indian audience, but make our stories appeal to the Western market as well.
All right. That is a really interesting perspective, and it does give us a lot to think about, how the Indian gaming industry is evolving right now. And what is a misconception you think that people have about game developers that you wish you could correct?
Yeah, people think that it is easy to make games. And, obviously, as a gamer, you would also think that, but it is not. Game development takes a lot of time, especially, now with the advent of AI. A lot of people think that now that AI has come, game development might have become even more simpler, but it's not. I think it is. I would go on to say that game development is now a very safe career option as well for the future, because even with AI, you still need a lot of manual intervention. There are things like concepts like game balancing, which means that if you've made something, what will actually make the game fun to play? What are those values? Like if you're driving a car, how fast should that car go for you to have that enjoyable experience? So all of these things are a lot of manual effort. It's not that you are dragging and dropping something and magically something happens, and suddenly you will have a good game in your hand. No, it takes a lot of trial and error. Additionally, it takes time. It takes a long amount of time, and it's a very technical task. Additionally, one more misconception is that game development is not just code. It is about art, it's about business, it's about marketing. And you're not going to make millions of dollars overnight by making one game. It might be possible that your first game might not be a success, second, third game might not be a success. You make 40 games, they might not be successful, but your 52nd title can be Angry Birds, right? What happened with Rovio. And then it might also happen that you've made a game, very simple game. For years' time, nobody pays attention to that game. And suddenly, one random YouTuber makes a video called Do Not Play This Game. And suddenly, everyone starts playing that game. And then that game starts to earn $50,000 a day. This is a real life story of this game called Flappy Bird. It was earning $50,000 a day at its peak. And it was covered by none other than PewDiePie. So, yeah, examples like these exist, but it is going to take a lot of time and a lot of luck as well sometimes. Most of the times luck also plays a big part.
Right. Thank you for clearing so many misconceptions for us. Now that we've heard so many valuable insights from you, we'd love to bring our audience into the conversation. We'll open the floor to the audience for the next set of questions.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to ask if you know you're creative but not very sure where you fit, like coder, designer, or storyteller, how exactly do you decide what direction you want to go in?
Try everything. That's what I did. Like when I started off, when I mentioned it, right? Game programming was one, game art was one, game design was one, game testing was one. So try your hand at everything, and especially like at this age where you actually have the time, you can choose to experiment. Once you choose to experiment, once you do experiment, that is when you realize that okay, this is what is possible. and this is what my core interest is. And then you will automatically realize it is a lot about trial and error and what suits you. From a creative perspective, if you were to narrow it down, there are two aspects of creativity. One is logical thinking of what is creativity. Second part is the implementation part of it. The logical part of it is to do with the game design aspect, which means the psychological factor of what makes a game fun to play. The art side of it is to make models, it's to make 3D art, 2D art, etc. So try your hand at everything, including storytelling. If you like to tell stories, why not? But you will never come to know what to do unless you try it. So keep trying.
Opposed to game development in your engineering days, and how were your engineering days?
During my engineering days, no, I was not exposed to game development formally. My engineering days were mostly, me figuring things out by myself. So I did used to, invest a lot of time after college, learning how to make games, going through all the documentation. What did help me in engineering was just the foundational knowledge of programming. But how do you use that programming knowledge to make games? That was a very much of a self discovery. So at that time, there was there was little to no formal education, and while I was making games, I couldn't convince my parents to enroll myself into a game development college. So I had to do all of that by myself.
How did you navigate through the early challenges and the uncertainty of the career that you've chosen?
So for me, the biggest advantage was that I started very early on. So there were uncertainties, but there were uncertainties when I could take them head on. They didn't affect me as such because during engineering days there was no pressure on getting a job or anything. So I was able to make a lot of mistakes during the time wherein there was no pressure, and that helped me a lot in my career.
So you would recommend starting early.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if you're in school right now and you start giving 1 hour a day, not a lot, like 1 hour a day to this skill, by the time you reach college or by the time you're ready to do a job or whatever, you will have existing experience. Like let's say 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 5 years of experience you will already have by the time you're ready to go into your bachelor's degree or whatever.
Thank you. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you share like a moment where you made your own decision that changed the trajectory of your own career?
Oh yes, I remember when I was. This was in 2020. Very fantastic year for our business in general because it was the pandemic year, unfortunately. But gaming took a huge boom in that. So what I did was I knew that I wanted to make a game called Mumbai Gullies. That's the game that we're working on, and I knew that we had to raise a lot of money to make this game because making games is expensive as well. You need crores and crores, and especially of a game of our scale. So I was trying to reverse engineer because I had not never raised any funds from investors till that era. So I was like, how will I be able to raise funds from investors? So I started researching on what do investors do? How do they invest? How do they evaluate which company to invest in? And the best way that I could do that, best way that I could understand how to raise funds is if I were to somehow become an investor myself. So because in 2020 I had like a good amount of money. Once I did that, that cost me about 1 lakh rupees in terms of membership fees. But that 1 lakh rupees got me access to 300 startups pitch decks. And I went through all of them where founders used to come and pitch to me. And I kind of studied everything in detail. And then a year from then, I decided that, I will learn everything. And then a year from now, I will pitch to the same set of investors that I'm a part of the investment network. So that 1 lakh rupees that I spent fetched me an investment a year later of 4 crore rupees. So that was something that really helped and kind of changed the entire trajectory. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
I have two questions in mind.
yeah.
My first question is that how exactly did you convince your parents that game development was like a promising career?
And that's second question.
Second one is top three games.
Okay. I'll start with the second question first. Top three games. Number one, Red Dead Redemption 2. Second, Grand Theft Auto 5 or any series. In fact, I do like Grand Theft Auto 4 a lot. And then the third game is RuneScape. I don't know how many you might have heard it. It's an MMORPG game. How did I convince my parents? So as I mentioned, it was a fact of me trying to prove them that this is a career option that also allows you to earn money. So I remember when I started my company in 2013, for the first 2 years, we made absolutely no money. We used to make websites and apps for clients, and that used to get us our pocket money to get pizzas on the weekend. But because we were in the industry for such a long time, eventually, once you are a part of certain ecosystem and you keep on learning new stuff, you eventually figure out something. Something hits, something happens, and it's like that eureka moment. So 2 years later, we got a check of 1 lakh rupees in our bank account from about 2 games that we had developed. And before that, we had not made any money. So that 1 lakh rupees was a big amount for us. So we were able to show that to our parents that, see, this is the amount of money that we are making. And once we were able to figure that process, once we were able to figure out first 1 lakh, then we were able to duplicate that process. We were then able to earn another set of lakh, and so on and so forth. So once that was proven to my parents, then they were completely least bothered. Another thing, let's say if you were to take a different scenario on how you can convince your parents, is do your hobby, do this as a hobby, and learn this profession, and then quite simply apply for jobs. Once you get a job that pays you 20,000, 30,000 a month, that proves to your parents easily that there is money to be made. So yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome.
So, even I have two questions. Did you take a particular course to make games, or did you just learn it by yourself?
Yeah, so I was most likely learning by myself, primarily because, as I mentioned, I couldn't convince my parents to enroll myself into a game development college. So it was just me going through all the documentation, YouTube videos, lots and lots of source codes that I had to manually read through.
And the second question is that what would you rate the best story based game like God of War, Resident Evil, or Last of Us?
I would pick Red Dead Redemption 2 any day because that is a very moving storyline, and I also cried when Arthur Morgan was dying.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I do like the God of War story as well, the newer one that talks about the Kratos and Atreus' dynamic.
So looking back, did you like wish and did you wish something like differently, something in shaping your career?
I think looking back, you can't really, pinpoint on stuff. I'm largely happy with how I navigated because every small victory and every big failure has taught me a lot of things. And I think I wouldn't be here without a combination of those experiences. So if I were to live it over through again, I don't think I would change anything about my journey.
Thank you so much. You said you were self-taught. So, as a high school student, how is one supposed to make the most of their resources to learn and extract data?
See, I think learning is just about inculcating discipline in yourself. One of the best things that we learn in school is following a schedule. Like when you have a schedule, you block out a block of time for doing only one task, right? Do the exact same thing once you go out of school as well. Like, let's say, for example, if school ends at 6 o'clock, you carve out time, let's say 6 to 7 will be my commute journey. 7 to 8, maybe I'll play with my friends. 8 to 9, I will, dedicate myself to learning this hobby. 9 to 9:30, I will have my dinner. 10 o'clock, go to sleep, something of that sort. So it is just about blocking time. And what I would recommend over here is for students to follow, or rather use this tool, Google Calendars, that easily helps you block out time and reminds you what needs to be done. Because the smartest people are not the ones who mug up a lot of information. The smartest people are the ones who create this support system for themselves that doesn't make them rely on their memory. Because you can forget what you are supposed to do. But if you have something that reminds you that you have to do this, it's as simple as you setting an alarm clock in the morning for 6:30 a.m. If you don't set that alarm clock, you will not wake up, right? So it's just that. Just set reminders for yourself. It can be either on your Google Calendar, it can be on your phone, it can be just a written note. And once you have blocked out time, just do that. Come what may. Of course, there can be certain scenarios where you might have to compromise on that time slot. But if you follow it 90%, then you are pretty much sorted.
Another question. You said that you've overcome a lot of hurdles in your life. What was your drive or your motivation that made you overcome all of those?
Just one motivation that there is no other alternative. If you want to do something, there is just no other alternative that you have. So either you figure out a way to overcome it via different outcomes, or in the worst case scenario, giving up is also one option. Like, let's say you've exhausted every single outcome. In that case, also stopping yourself from being delusional. That's also a very good skill to assess, because you also need to know when to start. You also need to understand when to stop.
Thank you. I have one last question.
Yes.
So you are a founder of a company, right? But like you said that you like Red Dead Redemption 2 and Rocks and GTA. Like what made you decide that you would rather not go to a company like Rockstar and start a own company?
That's an excellent question. In fact, when I was playing GTA Vice City and modded the game, I had actually made my mind that I would join Rockstar Games. Then I went through their career section and I saw their qualifications, and I was like, no way, I'm going to make it through their qualifications. So I was like, I'll just take it out and start my own company. In hindsight, I think starting my own company was incrementally much more harder than probably getting a job at Rockstar. But that was the intention. However, once I started my company, there was no going back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Good morning. So, one question, is game development a stable and a long term career option in India as well as globally?
globally nowadays, it's not, primarily because global companies are not able to sustain the cost of operations, because the salary of an engineer itself goes in hundreds and thousands of dollars. There are a few companies that are very stable, but it's like during the time of AI, it's become largely unpredictable. From India, however, the script is kind of changing, because here now, slowly and steadily, we are taking this career seriously. Our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has also introduced a lot of government schemes as well as government institutes to teach game development. So there are very good, stable game development companies as well, including the likes of Nazara Technologies and a couple of others. Right now, we are in a very uncertain, small stage wherein there's a lot of frenzy going around. But I think by the time these students graduate and all, there will be increasing number of stability as well as very good number of studios that will be popping up. So game development certainly can be looked upon as a stable job outcome, because it is also largely unaffected by the use of AI. Yes, there will be usage of AI in this field, but that will only take you so far. So I think from a job security perspective, especially in India, it's a very good career option.
Yeah. What are your tips and suggestions for kids to narrow down various interests into like practical and desirable career paths?
Practical and desirable career paths, I think you just need to firstly research on what is the outcome of that job. Like, let's say, for example, if you want to apply for a job role, right? One thing you need to understand is you get a job to do a certain task. So let's say if you want to become a game programmer, what you have to do is think of the outcome. Let's say you are a game programmer today, right? What will you have to do? So as a game programmer, maybe you will be working on certain languages, certain softwares. Identify what those softwares are. Then you start learning those softwares and preparing yourself for that job role. So it is a lot of reverse engineering. Visualize yourself as being someone in that place and understand how it works backwards, and then start from where it started.
Thank you.
Alright, so we're now going to move on to the next segment, and this is specially for you parents. Let's talk about how your children can explore their interests and plan for a bright future. So, Nikhil sir, what advice would you give to parents to help the child explore unconventional career path?
One thing is that certainly give them the benefit of doubt for a bit, because if a kid is coming to you and telling you that, hey, I want to become a gamer or a game developer, let's explore gamer, because game development largely is a very technical field. But nowadays, even by playing games, you can earn a lot of money, right? We've seen the likes of Mortal, Tanmay Bhatt, Carrie Minati make their careers just by playing games. They earn lakhs and lakhs or even crores of rupees by just playing games. So what I would say is, for the parents, give them the benefit of doubt and try to learn yourself as well. Try to educate yourself on what is this industry about, right? And if that happens, then you will be able to, get a guided or a structured approach instead of just dismissing it as a waste of time. You can then set a career path, because if a kid is interested in pursuing something, instead of killing it at just the idea level, you can kind of motivate them. Like imagine what would happen if Sachin Tendulkar was told that you have to become a doctor. We would lose out on the gems that we have today. So even those paths were kind of unconventional, right? They took a different approach. Same is for gaming, game development, or any other career path out there. Educate yourself how or what is this career path, how difficult it is, and lay down foundational stones for your kid to explore that.
All right. So, how do you think that parents can balance guidance and independence when a child shows interest in such fields?
Uh, Guidance can be like just a nudge, because even parents, I would assume that they are very busy with their own jobs, chores, etc. So what they could do is identify support systems and mentors that can actually groom their kid, because they can only do so much, right? Unless your dad himself is a game developer, then he will be able to guide you through and through. But if he's not, if he's someone working as a banker, he will have no idea about this field. So in that case, what I would say is find someone who's a mentor and have them teach your kid to approach this.
All right. And how can parents exactly identify if their child has the aptitude or a passion for such unconventional careers? And what key qualities do you think parents should encourage in their children if they're interested in unconventional careers?
Once he or she starts pursuing that career path, you have like these early signs that maybe they are not doing so well. So give them, for any unconventional path, give them at least 6 months of time. Let them try, let them make mistakes. And if beyond 6 months it's not working out, you just need to have that conversation with them, saying that, over there, of course, the parents also have to take a little bit of hard stance. But if the kid has, demonstrated a very good uh, aptitude for what they are doing, in that case, then you need to figure out what are the next steps. So it is very, it has to be balanced in such a way that it doesn't feel forced, and at the same time, it also, shouldn't be very, very lenient either. So it's a very difficult question. I'm not a parent myself, so I wouldn't be able to guide on that aspect. But these are certain things that you can keep at the back of your head.
All right. So that was very insightful, and it's really lovely getting to know about your career in the gaming industry and how game development has sort of evolved around the time that you have started your career. And for our final segment, before we end, we have a fun rapid fire round and just a few questions to get to know you better. Sure. So, what is one game you wish you had created?
Oh, as I mentioned, like Red Dead Redemption 2 is my all-time favorite, so I wished I could have created that.
What does your heart belong to? PC, console, or mobile?
PC.
And lastly, your go-to comfort game after a long day.
I would say Grand Theft Auto.
All right.
Any of the Grand Theft Auto.
Thank you so much, Nikhil, sir, for sharing your insights with us Billabongers and with so many parents to get to know more about the gaming field. At Billabong High International School, learning goes far beyond the classroom, and I'm sure that today's talk has truly inspired many of us. Thank you for joining us today at Not by the Book 2.0.